I'm about to bring on Luke. Hello, Luke. Where are you? Oh, there he is.
Hello, can you see me?
I can see
Me.
you. How are you?
Good, good, thank you. Thanks for allowing me to escape Halloween duties.
Yes, do you want me to we can extend just
Yeah,
oh no. Yeah, it's quite a night to do the summit, I was saying, but no, thank you for coming.
no, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, so basically what we want to do today is to just find out from you how HD coaching, has helped you in the workplace in particular. So I guess starting off, what challenges were you facing before you started ADHD coaching, and how did coaching help you address them?
Yeah, so I think I was just looking back, so I can't believe it's only been 6 months.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so I
Yeah.
think I was 8 months into a new role where, I my role was to build a team, to try and think about how I wanted to shape it for the future and try and think about what kind of leader I needed to be and wanted to be. And I guess, I probably only had the diagnosis 2 years before. So still trying to get to grips with all the, what are the things that can work, what doesn't work, what are my strengths. I think and some of the challenges with things like, trying to get the balance right between the things I know that I find easy and perhaps I'm good at naturally, but not expecting that other people will work in the same way. So the enjoyment sometimes of the stress and the pressures, really trying to understand that a lot of people don't operate in that way quite rightly, because that's the thing about ADHD. So I think that was I think that was one of the challenges at first, because it made me reflect on feedback that I'd had in the past, because I've always been really keen to get loads of feedback, but a lot of it had kind of made sense. Feedback that at the time I'm thinking, well, I think I remember this very specific bit of feedback saying, we did this project and it was really high pressure and you kept telling me this and it made me make mistakes, and then made me reflect and realize that I absolutely wasn't getting the best out of my team, because I was assuming that they were operating with the same kind of drivers. So I think in terms of understanding, the way I work best, the more important thing is understanding how I can get the best out of the teams. I think that was one of the challenges. So I think
That's
that,
a common one.
yeah.
Very common for ADHD managers to do this to their teams.
Yeah. I feel like there's lots of different things we can kind of pick up. Yeah, I think the other thing is just I found and it's not necessarily the question you asked, but like starting with the strengths and
Mhm.
looking at the link between the strengths and the things that naturally you might you might be more comfortable with, or your signature strengths, and the way in which that can work with ADHD, but then also against it. And I think one of the main reasons I ended up, I was really keen to have coaching from you, was the perseverance thing, because
Mhm.
that was like a light bulb. I think I listened to one of your podcasts, and because I could never quite understand. I've managed to, similar to you, I think, with your legal background, have managed to stumble through loads of exams and qualifications, just get there in the end. And it was
Mhm.
that perseverance thing, and that was like a light bulb moment. And it's made sense of so many things, but it's really helped in my role. I think the thing the other day that you said around, making sure that I don't rely upon it, was also a really important thing. So um yeah.
Yeah, naming it to tame it, because again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. That goes for all ADHDs. Quite often I hear myself saying that in coaching. But for us, you, me, and the one other person that I told you, the one other boy with
Yeah.
perseverance as a signature strength, because it's usually one of the lowest strengths. ADHD is
Yeah.
perseverance is right
Yeah.
down. But
Yeah.
we've managed to get it as one of our signature strengths. So the whole just because you can doesn't mean you should is really, like, for us, so important to be able to choose, because perseverance is just there, push and push. We just naturally will just be pushed through. So
Yeah.
being aware of that, is that what you're saying in terms of the breakthrough, really understanding that this is something that you have to be aware of?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'd say there's been so many breakthroughs. Like I think in the past I've probably gone too far to try and like please other people, not want to give them tasks that maybe they should. But that whole thing, that always comes into my head, like focus on the why. Like I almost hear it every day, focus on the why. It's like, why do we need to do it? And the fact that, what benefits, need to remember that in my role, there's obviously things that, I'm paid to do and have to do. And, it's important to think of those things and not always, there's a way of being considerate and trying to support the team. But in a way, if I'm always only accommodating feelings and what they think, that's actually worse off for everyone in the long run. So it's kind of like settled a few things in my mind that I probably found difficult to reconcile in terms of like the right approach to leadership, like aligning with the values that are quite important to me.
Yeah, I mean, how have you managed to reconcile your value? Because obviously you've got
Mm.
kindness, we talked about that. And so, yeah, when you are a leader, something I noticed early, which a lot of ADHDers, in management struggle with, is to accept that they are a leader. I think you're talking,
Mm.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah,
about
yeah,
a colleague, and I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
colleague?
yeah,
Said, oh, someone that, one of,
yeah,
some manage, but they're a colleague, we
yeah,
automatically, no, I want to be, we're all equal, be my friend, where like, I'm not better than you, I'm not,
yeah,
yeah. And that can cause problems, obviously, if you are supposed to manage and lead.
yeah.
Yeah. How did coaching help you with leadership, stepping
Yeah,
into
well,
leadership?
I think this helped in terms, talks about some different situations and ways in which, my style probably, my natural style and the ADHD traits probably weren't getting the best out of the team because sometimes there is a need to really, as a leader, someone managing others, sometimes, well, often there is a need to be the person who sets, this is the process we're following, this is this is what needs to be done. You can be collaborative, but also there is a need when when you're trying to grow a team and you're acting as a leader, you'd have to remember you are a leader. So I think, yeah, it's been incredibly useful to try and, work with you to understand, some of those situations where historically probably been, um, a bit too, well, I guess not vague, but probably not being assertive enough, if that's the right word. But it's realizing that you can still, you can still be kind, you can still be open, you can still be honest, but make sure you lead with, clarity and direction.
Yeah, and that's not easy again with ADHD as a manager. But yeah, getting clear on your agenda. And you said earlier, what made a big difference was, yeah, keeping your eye on your why. You were able to, because, personally, you of course you want to be kind. It's really
Yeah,
important that you don't act against your values. But yeah, often ADHDers do not equate leadership with kindness. To be a leader is not it's like a dictator. A lot of ADHDers might at first think leader, dictator. I don't be a dictator because of rejection sensitivity as well. Like,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no one likes a dictator.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
But how have you managed to, overcome that RSD element? Is it the keeping your eye on your why, so seeing the bigger picture, getting out of your own way that way? What else? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think really trying to make sure I'm thinking first and foremost in terms of what I need to do, what the goals are, and working back from that, and not making sure that it's clear to me and the team what we're striving towards. In terms of the rejection sensitivity thing, I think it's something that like with time and with the practice, like you did some role plays of certain scenarios which I found incredibly helpful because we'd talk about something and then we'd start it and I'd forget straight away. And I think it's that almost, you know, the awareness you've given me of the natural tendencies to default, to default on certain strategies or coping mechanisms. I think that's the thing that's really helped.
Yeah, it is hard because these are, habits that we've formed and repeated patterns again and again. They've become programmed. It's really hard to reprogram yourself, flex that new muscle.
Yeah.
Um, and you've got to really set intention. And in terms of the coaching, the accountability, how's that been helpful in terms of the new way of doing things?
Yeah, I think I think having those clear goals and things, because we always talk about having a body double, being accountable, so making sure it's clear to me the things I'm going to try and work on. I kind of think not just in the coaching, I think a lot of the techniques in terms of we talk about doing something, trialing something for a week. Um, they're the kind of things I try and do in work now as well. So when I think about um, I've got a new initiative or I've got a new strategy, I try and have the same approach. So making sure I have someone aware of how best I work. So they need to understand that, okay, I work best if we can check up, on a twice weekly basis. And I think it's the same technique as the coaching, making sure that when we talk about certain things we're going to practice, that the following week I can actually talk through what I've done. Because if I know you're going to ask me, how did this go? The high performance technique of beginning and end of the day, I'll suddenly think 3 days before, oh crikey, I haven't done it. And then I'll have a rush to do it. And I like the fact that you do, obviously do recognize that there are going to be times when life gets too busy and things will slip, and you never give me a hard time about it, which is great. But knowing that I've got the session coming up is the thing that, what gets measured gets done. So it means that, I'll see it in the diary and prepare for it. But I think yesterday when we talked about like the breathing thing and the relaxation thing, I'm not having enough time at the moment to relax. And then you realize you sent something to me before and I hadn't looked at it. So now I'm like, right, promise Stephanie, I'm
Gotta
going
give
to
it a
do it
go.
3 times in the next week.
You'll do it one after the other in one day. That doesn't count, Luke.
Yeah, yeah. But this is the thing. I think it's some of the things seem really obvious, and but it's like, okay, I'm accountable for it. And then some of the things are just really like a light bulb moment going off in terms of, crikey, that suddenly makes sense. I think there was like something yesterday we were talking about the perseverance thing and the empathy thing and how they can sometimes work in
Yes, yeah.
opposite ways. But I like the way that you make me get to the answer, because it's sometimes you ask me the question, I'm like, really can't answer, but then it's the thought process of me answering the question really helps, because then it's thinking of those examples. And so yeah, it's
Yes, getting to yourself. And that's the
yeah,
difference, isn't it, between being coached, and we are just talking about it before actually, with the other ADCA coaches on the panel, the difference between actual certified HC coaching and maybe this other coaching that's around where they're just kind of giving you strategies, like they're just literally saying,
yeah,
oh, you've got
yeah,
this. Well, try these things. Boom, 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 boom.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's not very effective.
No, and I've had that before. And I think you obviously work with people from many different backgrounds, but I think, my role, often it can be high pressure, and I don't really have the ability to have a Friday off meetings, or I think you recognize what it's like to work in that environment. But yeah, I think one of the amazing things is just realizing you give me the realization that the role I'm in now and the things that I need to do are actually all the things that ADHD, all of the strengths of ADHD, all of the things that actually, maybe in the past can hold you back a bit. When there's obviously different roles that you go into, but I feel like in mine now, it's absolutely the right kind of position where I can make the most of those strengths. I think highlighting those has been really, really useful, but also this kind of goes back to your first point. So understanding where the gaps are is now helps me, because I can think, well, actually, whether it's a process or it's actually a person with those skills, it kind of really helps thinking about, as I grow the team. So I'm really on it. I'm really open and honest. Like I've never told anyone in a in a role in an employer before about having ADHD. So it's been really important to try and factor that in.
And your workplace has been really supportive. I mean, what difference has that made, having a very supportive workplace?
Well, brilliant, because I think bringing your whole self to work is really important. And I probably thought before that there'd be a stigma. I've got ADHD, and they just think of the extreme examples, as opposed to being aware of whether you've got ADHD or not. The same principles apply, like being aware of your strengths and weaknesses, what you like when you're under pressure, how you can get the best out of others, and also getting your team empowered to explain to you what's not working well. I think working in a firm where they support that is really important, because 20 years ago you just wouldn't get that at all. And I think thinking of things like ADHD Awareness Week and other kind of internal things that we're supporting, I think it's incredibly useful, because I've had loads of people in the firm that have kind of come to me and said, oh, actually, I think I've got ADHD, or I have got it. And I just think I quite enjoy trying to help others and share the things that I found challenging. Like, everyone experiences it in probably slightly different ways, but if I can help, then great.
Yeah, and so again, it's interesting, because I was just Mike Canavina, I was interviewing him before as
Yeah.
well as a manager, as senior manager at Petrofac, and he was saying basically the same thing in terms of everyone's kind of coming to him. Everyone's,
Yeah.
now I didn't realize, actually, now I've just really realized that through coaching you guys, but you obviously, you are natural advocates and natural leaders, and you do love to help others, but it's now we're creating internal support in these
Yeah.
organizations, the internal AHC support resources,
Yeah.
the employees can come to for support. Pretty good,
Yeah.
you know.
Honest, and even outside of work, the number of people, adults
Mm.
or friends, about their children, it's really it's really useful. So whether it's the principles from the coaching, or whether it's the knowledge, the things that you share, and I think it's brilliant. It's a brilliant community, and I've got a lot out of the coaching, more than I expected, to be honest. So yeah. And I think as the previous panelist was saying, it's good fun. Like,
It is.
it's not like
Yeah.
I'm thinking, gonna have to talk about this stuff, and it's like, oh, I'm looking forward to it. So I come out of it feeling energized, thinking, brilliant, right, I've got some things I can try, I've got some things that I probably, from the previous session, I need to keep working on, but it doesn't feel like it's not a chore. It's
Mm.
genuinely like, I look forward to it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is. That's so important, Same here too. Yeah, when I'm working with certain clients in particular, and again, you feel energized, right? Even as a
Mm.
coach as well, and partnering with you, and achieving outcomes,
Mm.
helping achieve outcomes. And one in particular, that before you go, there was something, a breakthrough, obviously, and that we
Mm.
managed to achieve
Yeah.
through coaching. Did you want
Yeah.
to, yeah, could you share a little bit around that?
Yeah, I think it was just talking about my role, looking to progress to the next stage, and the steps that you have to go through. And I think, it's quite a difficult one, because it goes against a lot of the inherent traits, in terms of, the kind of self-doubts, and the kind of trying to focus on the positives. I think the situation I was in was one where I had to, explain very clearly the role I was doing, the role I would be doing. And I think working with you, really able to help articulate what I was saying in a way that just kind of cut through too much of the emotion and the apologies and the usual things that I would have said. And I think it's helped me, not just in that situation, but in others at work, and just trying to, it's that whole thing again, thinking of the why, focusing on the message and the key things, rather than too much of the emotion. So
And
yeah.
hopefully advocating for yourself as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which again, us ADHDers, and I was talking to Mike before as well, in terms of our agenda, we're very quick to kind of give way and yield. So, we don't want to, we just want to be, we want to be easy, we want to be pleasing, we want to be a team player. So sometimes we don't push, put ourselves or push ourselves
Mm.
like we should. So yeah, I'm really, yeah, again, that's how we reach our potential. So it's been a pleasure to continue to coach you, Luke. We're still going.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Now you got to go put your wizarding costume. What are you being this Halloween? What are you?
I'm hoping they're in the house, but although I'm worried because they've probably had loads of sweets and
Good luck.
there'll be absolute chaos. So
Good
there we
luck.
go.
Just pretend you're still, maybe just say, oh, I just had to continue. I'm still here. Just hide.
Yeah, well, just keep listening, turn the volume up, and say I'm still presenting.
There we go. Yeah, I'll just get Zoe and Darren to speak loudly.
All right. Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you so much.
See
Thanks, Luke.
you later. Bye bye.
Bye. Okay, so that was Luke. As you can see, AC coaching is just so impactful in leadership and management positions in particular. So it was great to have Luke share his story.